If you are a touring band and you are going to be playing either Seattle or maybe Tacoma or Portland, expect your van, your trailer, and all of your stuff to get stolen. And I am dead serious. I don't know how many podcasts I have done on this topic. I couldn't tell you. I know of, I think at last count, there were 15 bands between Seattle and Portland that have had their vehicle ripped off, their equipment all ripped off, their, you name it. End of tour, sometimes end of career. Hey, you know what? All our stuff got jacked. We had to quit. I had to go get a job. That kind of thing. So if you're planning on coming here, have somebody sleep in your van. Have it in an enclosed garage with security. You know what I mean? But the issue is oftentimes the bands that are touring just don't have the money, and they're leaving their van at, the airport parking lot, wherever it is that's cheap, the hotel parking lot, even the hotel parking lot, Marriott parking lot in SeaTac is not safe. We're going to talk about all that. Let's get into it. Here we go. All right. So this is the second band in 2 weeks. Chase the Bear loses the van, $30K worth of gear in Seattle after van theft. For the second time in 2 weeks, a band traveling through Seattle had its van stolen, marking a bitter end to its first ever U.S. tour. That sucks. You get to the end and you're like, oh, yeah. And by the way, the topper is all our stuff got stolen. Seattle has some of the highest vehicle theft rates. Only Portland and a handful of other cities have higher vehicular theft rates than Seattle. So again, you come here, watch your back, watch your stuff. It's going to get stolen more likely than not. Vancouver-based brand Chase the Bear fell victim to theft after its final show at the Central Saloon in Georgetown on Saturday night. That is in South Seattle. Jordan Phillips, the band's guitarist, explained that they had wrapped up their performance and parked the van at the Element Hotel in Tukwila around 2:30 a.m. Sunday. The group locked up the vehicle and headed to bed, expecting to begin their journey home later that morning. Man, I have been to a lot of live shows recently. I had to write them down. Last week, I was at Iron Maiden in Tacoma Dome. Don't leave anything in your car, even in the secured parking lot in Tacoma. That was Maiden. The week before, I passed on going to Judas Priest. I should have. That was in Everett. I went to the Cult the week before that in Auburn. Don't take anything in your car. Don't leave anything in your car. It's going to get jacked. I was at the Black Crowes in Seattle. I was at Guns N' Roses in Seattle. I was at Rolling Stones in Seattle. I go to a lot of live music. Never leave anything in your car because it's going to get stolen. So the stolen items included amps, guitars, keyboards, and other equipment, all of which had an estimated value of around $30K. It has sentimental value. And everybody says this. This was my guitar. This is the way I make my living. And I get that. But I think people have this notion of, hey, we're going to Seattle. Lots of bands came from there. I got that whole grunge thing. Huge grunge fan myself. Huge. I listen to a lot of Chris Cornell. But the odds are you got a whole bunch of, these are Democrat-run cities with soft on crime and soft on drug policies, meaning you got a lot of just knuckleheads running around smoking the Fetty or stealing to smoke the Fetty. And so they're going to steal your stuff. And this is just what we're doing. And the whole soft on crime aspect results in you got a lot of just theft going on. Between my two children, my two boys, my youngest would be 28 if he was still alive. My oldest is 31. They have had their cars in Seattle stolen a total of 3 times. My youngest has his car stolen twice. And we're going to talk about that on our next one here. Philly band Spirit of the Beehive's gear stolen twice in Seattle. Yeah, twice. How does that work? Philadelphia-based indie rock band Spirit of the Beehive is reeling after their tour van was stolen not once, but twice during their Seattle stop, along with their equipment and merchandise. I haven't even touched on merchandise. You're driving around. I mean, you're trying to make ends meet. You're going to make a little bit of money on that merch. You're going to have something to give to sell to your ardent fans. I bought a Maiden shirt. Got to be honest. I bought a Maiden shirt and it was worth, I think I paid $50 for it. It was awesome. It had Eddie on the front and it was a stranger in a strange land and he had a bunch of arrows sticking in him. Yeah, just cool stuff like that nobody else cares about. But if you're really a fan of the band, you want a little bit of their merch, right? To get all that stolen, that sucks. The band, currently on tour, woke up in Seattle to discover that their fully padlocked and booted van, meaning it had like a lock on it, and trailer were stolen overnight. Despite finding the trailer later in the day, nearly all of their equipment, including instruments, merchandise, and essential gear for their live shows, had been taken. They did a GoFundMe, and I think the last I checked, they had like $78,000 people had donated for the GoFundMe. We were definitely in a bad way, very emotional, shared bandmate Corey Whitman. I don't know how the word hasn't gotten out that anybody touring in any genre, your stuff is going to get stolen, because that's just what's going on in Seattle. That's the crime spread. Soft on crime, bunch of drugs. I mean, it's just happening. It's happening. Let's keep going.
A band on tour hit a speed bump while stopping in the Rose City.
The group says after parking at their hotel overnight, they woke up to find all of their equipment gone. Fox 12's Jeffrey Lindblom spoke with the group's singer and has the details about what happened.
The band is touring and in town, staying here at the Portland Inn, where they parked their van full of their gear. However, they say when they returned the following afternoon, they found that a lock on the van had been broken. It was empty. Upwards of $15,000 worth of their musical equipment stolen that they used to play.
Certainly not the welcome we wanted coming to Portland, but it doesn't speak for the community as a whole. It's just a couple bad people out there. But
Frank Ray, who says he's played...
It's more than a couple. It's more than a couple. It's an epidemic of having stuff stolen. So, yeah, I mean, I understand the sentiment, and you don't want to come into a community and just crap on the community. But these are my communities. And what I am saying is, hey, watch your stuff. It's gonna get stolen.
Music in just about every state says his band's van was full of what he calls their tools for work that have to go on the road. Guitars, drums, and equipment. Stolen from the Portland Inn parking lot.
Heart-dropping to realize, rally band heartbroken after trailer with instruments and gear stolen while on tour. That was in Denver. Another big crime city. You got Democrat, big crime, big run cities. Odds are your stuff gonna get stolen. Oh yeah, here's a band that I've actually seen. Stolen truck equipment of Lucas Nelson's band, Willie Nelson's kid. I watched Lucas Nelson open up for somebody, I want to say it was at the Gorge. They were really good. I don't remember anything other than, hey, that's Willie's kid. And they were really good. But another example, they got their stuff back, I believe. They got their stuff back. How about this? Suspects wanted in the theft of Alan White from Yes. Alan White, the drummer from Yes, Ludwig drum kit that is still missing. Guy jacked the stuff from Alan White, who's now deceased. He lived down in Newcastle, which is just south of me by a few miles. Police recover $50,000 worth of Brian Jonestown Massacre's stolen gear. Got everything jacked, got some of it back. It's every touring band's nightmare. Veteran rockers, the Brian Jonestown Massacre, had nearly all their equipment stolen while on tour, custom-built guitars and effects and lots more. The theft was widely reported in the music press, and the band soldiers on as best they could. How is it that going into these cities that there aren't more, that there isn't a better way to keep track of your stuff? I don't know. But this particular nightmare was a happy ending. Police in Portland, we're back to Portland, have recovered more than $50,000 worth of the band's gear, the group announced on Friday. They got lucky, right? They got lucky. There's another one. Thieves. Okay. And here is the underlying. There was also somebody, I'm not sure if I've got the news story, but there's also somebody who had a very rare, I think it was out of Portland, a very rare like violin. Super rare, but they were able to get the violin back because somebody recognized it at a pawn shop. So there's just a lot of this stuff going on. Thieves steal hundreds of cars from airport hotels, parking lots. King 5 investigators find.
Kind of makes you second guess yourself. Cause I'm like, I know I parked it
Right.
She returned
just
to
a
an
regular
empty
person.
parking spot several days after leaving her truck in this hotel lot for a flight to California.
Took the grandkids to Disneyland.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Her truck was one of hundreds of vehicles stolen or prowled on the 2-mile strip outside the airport around International Boulevard. King County Sheriff's data show 474 such incidents in the last year alone at SeaTac Park and Fly and hotel lots.
What time did he notice the vehicle? About 7:45 and Falkland.
It turned out criminals swiped Carol's truck, used it for crimes like mail theft, and dumped it even before she flew home and reported it stolen.
Busted that window.
Just drilled out just this part right here.
Nearly $15,000 in repairs later,
This whole thing was damaged.
So just last weekend, I was getting ready to go to, going to take my boat up to the San Juan Islands. And I rolled up to our marina and somebody bashed out the back window of one of my neighbors at the marina. They're up from California. They bashed out their back window. I'm not sure if they took anything. I talked to them for a while. But, this kind of stuff is going on all over. All over. You got soft on crime policies and you got a lot of people that need money for their next hit. And this is what they're doing. Washington, D.C., Colorado, Nevada, Washington, and California are the top 5 states in the country with the most car theft reports. New Hampshire, Maine, and Idaho had the least amount of reported car theft, with 8 of the 10 states having the lowest auto theft rates being on the East Coast. Here we go. Pueblo, Colorado, Bakersfield, California, Denver, Colorado, Memphis, Tennessee, Portland, Oregon, and Albuquerque, New Mexico were the only cities with a higher rate of car theft than Seattle. Yeah. A lot of car thefts going on here. So if you swing on by, hey, the music scene is happening in Seattle. We get all kinds of bands. The only auditorium, the only concert venue in 2024 to have more concerts than our Climate Pledge Arena, that's our old, not Seattle Center Arena, but it's old Key Arena. The only place that has more concerts is Madison Square Garden in New York. We're just loaded up with shows. I mean, there's a show there all the time. But watch where you park. If you're at a hotel, outside, one of these areas, and even if you're, really close downtown somewhere, high probability your stuff it's at play. It's at play because we got so many people running around doing crazy stuff. It happens nonstop. Hey, before we go any further, check out reasonabletv.com. That's our private channel. We've dropped the price down to $3.99 a month. My thought there is last week, I went and bought one of those insulated mini tote bags from Trader Joe's, and the price on that is $3.99. And I thought, you know what? That's really cheap. I wonder if we should do that with the private podcast channel as well. Just make it so cheap that people don't have an aversion to. I can't spend $10 because I know myself spending $10 a month on, Hulu. And now it's like 15 for Netflix. I mean, we're getting right back up there where cable was just that expensive. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing it down, and it's even cheaper if you buy it on an annual basis. What do you get for that? Well, I've got a whole bunch of content. This is all members only content here that I release. I release about an extra video a week, and I'm going to release a ton more. We're going to do some live streams there. You also get 25%. Maybe it's even more than that. Also from our reasonabletv.com website, you can check out all of our content. We've got the latest episode. We've got the latest news. It's all on there. You can also check out the podcast, the audio portion. You can also get a link to our Discord channel where if you want to contact me, you can. You can load up new stories as you see fit. That part is all free. $3.99 a month for the reasonabletv content, and that is exclusive content you will not find anywhere else, not even on the YouTube. All right, let's jump back in. So moral of the story, I don't want to dissuade anybody from, coming to Seattle or Portland because they're great stops for bands to come. There's always somebody that's, listening to whatever genre you've got going. And there's a ton of fans here that love music. We love live music. And don't want to discourage anybody, but you got to start taking care of your stuff. It's like all these people come into Seattle and and I've been podcasting on this for probably a solid 3 years now. I've covered probably at least a dozen bands that have had their stuff jacked. And I don't want to discourage you, but you got to be careful. You got to be careful. That's all I'm going to say. You guys are big boys and girls out there touring the world with your rock bands and your music bands and your classical musical instruments. You know how to handle yourselves, but just beware that when you come to a city like Seattle, Portland, Denver, yeah, it may not end well for you. And I don't want that to be the way that your tour ends or, however that goes down. All right. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Till then, bye for now.